Hi guys and welcome back to a new video. In today's video I will be talking about the war within and I will explain how you will be able to make tons of gold with PvP. So this is something that was already kind of the case in Dragonflight, but in the war within you will be able to make even more gold when doing players versus players activities such as battlegrounds, arenas and world PvP activities. So the main reason why you will be able to make some gold is simply because when you are doing PvP activities, you will be able to get some honor points. And then with these different honor points, you will be able to come right here in Dornogal at the start of the city, and you will be able to talk to Otarn, and Otarn will sell a bunch of different plans, recipes, and designs for all the different crafting professions. And these different plans and recipes will allow you to craft some green BoE items that will be specific to PvP. So it means that here, as you can see, for instance, you will be able to craft an item with an eye level of 545, but when someone goes into an arena or a battleground, the eye level will be 606. So these different items have been introduced into the game back in Dragonflight, and they've been very popular, simply because, first of all, these are some of the only BOEs you can actually craft and then sell on the auction house, and this will remain the case throughout the expansion. But especially because, again, like that, you can get a really good set of items that you can then use in arenas and battlegrounds. And this is definitely something useful if you want to start and you don't have a lot of gear yet. So back in Dragonflight, you were able to get all these different patterns, plans, and recipes from all the different PvP activities. But the way you would get them is simply by, for instance, doing a random BG, and then when you were done, you would receive a crate, and inside of the crate, you would have a small chance at getting some of these different plants and recipes. And you didn't really have to have any professions with you. It was completely random. And the one thing that remains the same is the fact that these different plants and recipes are BOEs. So it means that you can buy and sell them on the auction house. And here, as you can see, it's still the case. All these different plants and recipes that you will be able to buy from Otarn will be BOEs, and so you can buy them from him and then sell them on the auction house. Now the main difference with Dragonflight is the fact that apparently you will only be able to get these different plants and recipes from the vendor, and you will have to spend 7,500 honor points in order to buy one of them. So if this remains like that, it means that these different patterns, plants and recipes will become very expensive, simply because you will need to do a lot of PvP in order to buy some of them and then sell them on the auction house, or also learn them for yourself. And all the different crafted items that go with them will also be way more expensive and a little bit more difficult to craft compared to Dragonflight. Another very interesting thing that has been changed compared to Dragonflight is the different components or materials that you need in order to craft these different items. So as you can see, for all of them, you will need some of these competitors' heraldry, and basically these items can be purchased with honor points, and they will then allow you to craft these different items. And for some of them, you need up to 5 of them, and so it means that you will need to anyway spend quite a lot of honor points in order to actually be able to even just craft these different items. So let's say, for instance, here that you want to craft this specific item. As you can see, you will need 5 of these different competitors' heraldry, and so it will cost you 1,650 of these different honor points in order to just craft one of these different BOE items. Then the ones that in Dragonflight were the most interesting ones were the jewel crafting items, simply because these are the different rings and also necklaces, and so everyone is using these different items. And these right now will require you to also get each time one of these different vicious Bloodstone in order to actually craft only one of these different items. As you can see, it's the same for both the amulet and the signet. So what it means is that basically in order to craft one of these rings, for instance, you will need already 3 of these different forged combatants heraldry, and then one of the vicious Bloodstone. And as you can see here, you can buy this vicious Bloodstone for 3,500 honor points. You can also sometimes get it when doing PvP activities, so probably it will drop from the different crates you will get at the end of every BGs. But it means that again, you will need to do quite a lot of PvP activities or to spend a lot of gold on the auction house in order to craft these different items and to then sell them on the auction house. Now, of course, one very important thing to note is the fact that these different crafting regions that you can buy from the vendor will also be BOEs, and so it means that you can, for instance, buy some of them and then sell them directly on the auction house. So as you can see, for instance, here I bought 2 of them, and I will be able to then go on the auction house and post them. And as these are crafting regions, they should normally be region-wide, so you will share the value with the entire region, and also you will be able to buy these items from people from your entire region. So let's recap the few different ways you will be able to make some gold with PvP. The first way is simply by doing some PvP activities, getting some honor points, and then coming here and purchase some of these different plants and recipes from Otarn, and then you can sell them on the auction house. Here, I would really recommend you to just go through your auction house, see the ones that are missing, and then target these ones in priority, and then sell them, and most likely you will be able to make a lot of gold, especially during the first few weeks of the expansion, just by doing this. Then the second way that you have, of course, is by crafting some of these different BOEs and selling them on the auction house. So here you can either decide to farm these different plants and recipes yourself by doing some PvP activities, or purchase them from the auction house and then invest by crafting and selling all the different items you can craft with these recipes. Keep in mind, of course, you will also need to either do some PvP to get the different materials yourself, or purchase these different materials from the auction house as well. But here it's really up to you to see what you will prefer to do and how much gold you are willing to invest. But I think this is also going to be a really good way to make a lot of gold, and the market will definitely be a little bit more difficult and challenging simply because it's not going to be as easy to craft a bunch of these different BOEs. But as a result, it also means that the different BOEs are going to be way more expensive and there's going to have less people doing this. So all in all, you should still be able to make a tons of gold by doing this. Then the third way is simply by buying some of the different materials from the vendor and selling them on the auction house. So here again, for instance, if you buy a bunch of these, you should probably be able to make a lot of gold. And as these are region-wide, it means that you will sell them probably instantly. So depending on the value currently that these different items are selling for, you can really make a lot of gold just by doing some PvP activities and getting some honor points. Now, of course, another very easy way to make some gold with PvP will be by simply doing some of the different arenas and battlegrounds, because like that, you will have a chance to directly get some of these different materials that you will be able to sell on the auction house or use in some of the crafts. And now the last way that personally I think is also going to be very interesting is simply flipping all these different items, especially the different plants and recipes. Keep in mind that, again, now that you have cross-realm trading and that you can basically buy one of these plants or recipes from one realm and then sell it back on another realm for maybe 5-6 times the value, this is going to be really good, especially now that we know that these different plants and recipes are going to be a little bit more difficult to acquire compared to Dragonflight. So I think this is something that, of course, will be always a little bit more risky because you will need to invest a lot of gold, but you can also make tons and tons of profits just by doing these different flips. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you will be able to make some gold with PvP in the War Within by using all these different items and crafting some of these different BOEs. I think this is all in all a pretty good thing because for players who are doing a lot of PvP, it will offer them a way to make some gold and be relevant on the market. And also it will probably give a little bit of incentives for a lot of players who are not so sure about doing PvP and still want some of the rewards. At least now you know that you will be able to make some gold by investing some of your time and farming some of these different battlegrounds and arenas. So I'm personally pretty happy with this, and I do think it's still gonna be a really good way to make some gold in the War Within. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime, I wish you all a great day. Bye!